in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. So put in some dot balls and turn them into maidens via nordvpn.com/Kimber.
Morning, everyone, and welcome to the scoreboard. And let's just get straight to it because I did a whole monologue. Monologue, is that the right way of putting it? I did a lot last night on USA-Pakistan vibes-based stuff, and there were some facts. There was a lot of facts probably in there as well. But let's just get to what happened in this game. 3 wickets here and 3 wickets here is the most important part of what happened in this particular game. We know the stats about losing 3 wickets in the power play. They got the rebuild going at 9 runs and over. We're starting to amp back up and then lost wickets again. And that put them in a situation where they couldn't really cash in on the end. It's not rocket science. Babar Azam will get a lot of flack. And obviously, Shadab Khan was doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that partnership in this area. But when it comes down to it, Babar lived through 2 collapses and he batted that way. He probably didn't put enough pressure on the USA anyway. I think that's more than safe to say. And you shouldn't be probably batting a runner ball against that kind of an attack. But he did, and they lost wickets, and here they are. And here he is, 44 with a strike rate of 102. This is the innings that almost took the game away from the USA. He had treatment, and then I think he went out the next ball, and that was absolutely huge. But a lot of people blaming Babar and Shadab Khan. Or no one blaming Shadab Khan, but a lot of people blaming Babar Azam. If Shaheen Afridi is your next highest run scorer, at a certain point, we've just got to be a little bit realistic here. Shadab was certainly an important, what's the best way of putting it? Just an important person of putting the pressure back on. You watch some of these shots, and there's one this is the one. Just managing to get, to get that away. That's a good defensive delivery. And it might be this one as well, but that's just a full toss that he whacks away. But I like the way he went about it. That almost was caught, wasn't it, that one? But Babar and Rizwan's true sixes, true zeros through to sixes. So you can see both of them actually have pretty healthy dot ball percentage, so we're not too worried about that. They score more singles than usual. They're both great at 2s and 3s. Rizwan gets a little bit stuck when it comes to 4s, but he can hit a 6. And Babar just almost never hits a 6. I think he hit 1 yesterday or 2 yesterday and managed to still be at a runner ball, whatever it was. But he just doesn't hit enough 6s. And because of that, he kind of needs someone at the other end going hard. And quite often that means that you are going to lose wickets. So even though they're both similar players, you can see that there are some differences there. So these are the opening partnerships since the 2022 World Cup. But coming into that point, Pakistan were incredible, right? And they were making runs over and over again, but slow. Now they have switched it up quite a bit, and they don't make runs anymore, and they're slow. And they're probably slower than they used to be. So they tried to make some changes to make things work more, and it has not worked at all. And you can see here, these 3 teams are just, so much quicker than everyone else, when it comes to fast starts. And we can see a couple of the associate teams here as well who are very good at that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's quite interesting from that point of view. Here's the hero, the man, the engineer. I thought he bowled really well. I've seen him bowl quite a few times. I don't think I've ever seen anything from him that is exceptional, but he does a lot of things right. I thought he was very good with the new ball, and then obviously bowled well enough later on, and then bowled very well in the super over as well. I don't think I've seen Noshush Kenjij before. I think that's the first time I've seen him bowl, unless I've seen him bowl in minor leagues, and I've forgotten now. But I really like the way that he went about it. Ali Khan, still not in great form, but doing okay. Harmeet Singh as the defensive bowler, just probably not as accurate as he has been in other games. And Jasdeep, who's a wicket taker, going for a few runs there. This is Saurabh Netravalkar's LinkedIn page, of course. Principal member of the technical staff at Oracle and professional cricketer. I talked about this yesterday, this catch. I think obviously because of who the batter was, Rizwan, this is a huge moment. But also, this is just a catch that is not taken all that much, right? That is a fantastic catch by Stephen Taylor there. Completely out of position, diving. It's a good ball too. But the fact that he's gone that far and still managed to take the ball really low, I just thought was absolutely brilliant. And I think I said on the live show yesterday that it really was the thing that started it all, right? Otherwise, Pakistan probably get a good start. They're probably, none for 60 off 8 overs or something like that. And they put themselves in a position to be able to win the game. And they never did that because of that catch. Some might say that catches are important or that they, in fact, win matches. But this is essentially why Pakistan got themselves in so much trouble. They couldn't find a way to ever put enough pressure on to take wickets. They did beat the bat a little bit, but even then, I do think the pitch evened out. It was a little bit juicy when USA bowled in the morning. Not that that was particularly the reason, although that Rizwan ball was a tricky one. But they just could never put enough pressure on. These 2 wickets are around the 100-run point. So by that stage, America had kind of cracked well past halfway. And you can also see that USA never quite scored quick enough to belt Pakistan out of the game as well. And that became a real issue at the end when they did tighten up. And I think there was a few of us who kind of saw that coming a ways off. And part of it was the reverse swing. But a lot of it was just that America stopped looking for boundaries and started looking for 1s and 2s. And they missed too many balls. Monarch Patel, we've seen him be good at this tournament at times. I think he's probably, compared to Taylor, who just hasn't got going yet, and Jones, and who is, I think he's probably a little bit more limited in some ways, but he's got a lot to his game, and he's got a fearlessness to the way he bats. I really enjoy watching him play. And we could see 2024, 190 runs, true strike rate of 27, a true average of 3. So you can see, that, I'm trying to think of another player like him. But you have an opener who's willing to, or a top order player in some cases, where, they're willing to die by the sword a little bit. It allows everyone else to have that freedom. And also, it also allows them to sometimes bat within themselves if they have to, right? So, no, I really did like it. Apparently I've jammed this video. But you can see in his wagon wheel over here, he's very, very strong through cover. And he's kind of got the conventional cover drive early, and then he has sort of a run down the wicket and slap. I think he loses his shape a little bit. I'd love to see if they can just get him to run down the wicket and keep his head a little bit more in the future. But there we go. Mohammad Amir, it's incredible that he's here because obviously the super over doesn't count. But he was fantastic during the game, and they were right to give him the super over. A lot went wrong in that super over, if we're being honest. We expected the spinners to go for runs, so that's fine. Haris Rauf and Shaheen Afridi shouldn't be going at over 8s against the USA, right? They should be keeping it a lot tighter. And very disappointing that Shaheen Afridi did not manage a wicket. None of the videos want to work. Oh, okay, we'll come back here. So you've just got, this is the drop catch that was really important when Aaron Jones, he just started smoking them again. It's like if he can get to 12 balls, he can just time anything he wants. It's just his ability to get to 12 balls that seems to be almost all the issue here. You can see this last over, and that's the full toss, but you still have to clip it away. He's done very well, puts the pressure back on here, and then with 12 from 3 required, I missed the ball. So really good running here. I want you to watch the non-striker just absolutely hammering down. And we saw that again and again from them at the end. And then another full toss. And he manages to get that over the top. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't get to get it away for 6. But what an ending. What a game it was, entertaining-wise. This game was really interesting because Namibia struggled early on and then put a lot of pressure on Scotland all the way through. It's very rare that I've seen Namibia scoring at such a good rate throughout those middle overs. And it looked like at times they had the ability to put on a decent score on a wicket that people haven't been scoring on much. But I think Scotland just kept chipping away at those wickets. And you could see here very much was Erasmus on his own and then a couple of cameos, right? This was a fantastic innings. And I think he probably made the entire score look a little bit better I love the footwork there, backing away, giving himself room. Mark Watt, not an easy guy to go after, and he decided to go after him straight away, and he had a very clear plan of what he wanted to do against Watt, also, which I liked. So there's certainly, and there was another one there that I thought was quite good, just finding the gaps. And you can see, it isn't very often that Scotland are going to win a T20 game and have Mark Watt go for 39 runs with no wickets. Thought Brad Wheel bowled very quick, and I like Curry as well. And, Michael Lees is kind of like a backup spinner for them, really. And on wickets that help him, he's quite good. But because he's more like a slightly less polished version of Moeen Ali, he really rips the ball. And so when it does spin, it really, really goes. And then, we don't need to see those ones, actually. But and then this is what I wanted to show you. This is really fascinating. Scotland were going at 7 runs and over, and then lost a bunch of wickets in a row. And Namibia's spinners are more defensive spinners than attacking, and yet they took a bunch of wickets here. And this is when Michael Lees came out with Richie Barrington. And this, at the period here where they were knocking it around, they might have got 1-4 off a sweep. And Michael Lees usually will go quite hard early on, and he wasn't. And that made me think that they just thought they had this in hand. And suddenly, they had that one over where they scored all the runs, and they changed Namibia's plans because Namibia were going to just keep going with the spin and clog it all up. And suddenly they lost their nerve a little bit. They brought the seamer back on. There was some that came into Scotland's hand because now they didn't know who they were going to bowl to death. And then they went back and started knocking the ball around again, which I thought was so clever. Waiting for the right matchup with the right breeze, the right short boundary and everything. And it ended up being David Visa. And they went from not looking like they were going to win it to absolutely cruising that game in such a short amount of time. Brilliant work. Barrington playing the anchor role, hit a cutlet. He almost sort of started it, and then Leith just went nuts, right? 35 off 17 on a wicket, which wasn't really made for that at all. And I think this is the one. That's the one I like. That was the least one where he's got to reach that from a mile away. And the timing on that was absolutely fantastic. I'm trying to think if... Oh, maybe it was Leith who hit the first 6 then. But yeah, really thought that was good. And then this is the over against David Visa. Just crushing him at this stage. And I think his first 2 overs had gone for almost no runs. And just putting him into the crowd again and again. Is that the big one? No, that's not the big one. I want to show you the big one. There's a really big one coming up. There's a 6 that I think was 100 meters, wasn't it? That just disappeared altogether. Is it the next one? Here we go. Oh, how did I lose that? Oh, apologize. That was crazy work. Yes, this one at the end. I'll get to it eventually. Here we go. Outside off stump, weight distribution's kind of all over the place, but the connection on that was absolutely crazy, and that just flew. When I've seen Michael Lees hit some balls at training and things when I was working for Scotland, and even in games, there was a game versus Oman when he just hit the ball so well. Once he gets his range, he just hits like almost no one I've ever seen. Certainly at the associate level. Schultz bowled really well. Erasmus got the wickets, but that over was really what started everything. Trumpelman was all over the place. He actually ended up with okay figures. This could have been a horror day for him. David Visa, great start, and then absolutely hammered. And Lungameni, I thought the minute I saw him bowl, I was like, oh, you're just going to come onto the bat very well on this wicket for Scotland, in a way that some of the other bowlers weren't. I didn't think he bowled poorly. I just thought, sometimes you see a matchup and you're like, that's not going to work brilliantly. There's a bunch of different games coming up. I think the most interesting one for me is Afghanistan versus New Zealand. So if you look at New Zealand, they're not a great middle overs batting side, and Afghanistan's bowling's not great on paper, but we know that this is Avengers Assemble time, and it's going to be a little bit different. I think that's going to be really important. Another thing for New Zealand to have a look at is just, why won't that let me? The bowling bit anyway down here in the power play. They've got to get more wickets in the power play. You see Bangladesh, par side, most of the way through, but a little bit better at bowling. But certainly there's not a lot here that, sets them apart from any other teams. They're going up against Ireland, who's kind of similar, I think. But having watched them both playing the last year, I think Ireland's become a better T20 side than Bangladesh. But it's not a format that either of them love. And Canada, I think we know from watching Canada in that one game that they're a batting side, but I don't mind their new ball bowling. And after that, it gets a little bit hairy for them. And of course, we've got Sri Lanka down here, who we expect to be a much better bowling team than they show to be on paper at the moment. Anyway, that is it for the scoreboard today. I'll just check if there's any super chats coming in. Yeah, I don't think we have any chats in there today, so we'll call it here. Thank you very much. Oh, Muku's just come from there. Oh, this might have been some of the super chats from the other night that we missed. Jared, if you guys had waited for another year to have done the T20 World Cup Moments podcast, do you think the Super Over match would have ended up on the list? Oh, that's really good. Do I think that would have ended up? Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard to say when something's just happened because it's in your mind. But yeah, I could see that. Next question, Muku, if there's more. Or Ramyak. Or whoever's pressing the buttons. Rudra says, ESPN made a post about this. The game this World Cup needed. I actually think the World Cup's had heaps of close games. It was the second Super Over game. We've had a bunch of games come down to the end. The New York matches have been a little bit terrible, but I think there's been, a bunch of good games and associates versus Test Nation games, associate versus associate games. We probably haven't had a good 2 Test playing nations game go up against each other. Maybe that's the one thing it's missing so far. I think it's been a fantastic and really entertaining World Cup for me so far. Next question, please. Or is that it? Is that the last super chat? Oh, I'm going to assume that's the last one. Anyway, I'm going to head off, and I've got a bunch of games to watch today, and there's a game coming up in 2 minutes. So I've gone through a little bit quicker today, but just because of that, and I was running a little bit late. But thanks to everyone who still turned up. Remember, we're here live every day of this World Cup. We've also got a watch along on Cricket 8 for the India-Pakistan game. So if you want to watch that with us, come over, and we'll have lots of fun there. But I'm Jared Kimber. This is the Scoreboard, and I will see you on the flippity flip.
This is brought to you by Cricket 8. They are a new player in the game trying to educate fans on what is really happening in cricket. We have a partnership with them where we host live watch-alongs, do podcasts, and write articles. If you want to know what is really happening with our game, visit cricket8.com. If you make any content, Minvo Pro is the tool for you. Take your long format content and cut it and slice it for social media. This AI-inspired weapon will turn your one piece of work into so many clips. Try Minvo.pro now.